Hello and welcome to Linux Lab 6. My name's Kevin Large and I'll be your instructor for today's session. So what are we going to look at in Linux Lab 6? We're going to look at installing software using APT. APT is the Advanced Package Management Tool. It's a very powerful piece of software, widely used on Debian systems for installing packages from the command line interface. Before the installation, we'll run through some useful commands, and then we'll move on to installing an antivirus program, disk cleaning software. We'll have a look at using the antivirus program and the disk cleaning software, and finally we'll wrap up by removing software from the system. Okay, so moving on to our Debian Linux system. It's the same Debian Linux system we've used in the videos up to date. We'll open up a terminal window, Alt F2, and type gnome-terminal. If you've typed the command before, you can just use your up arrow to find it. So now we have a terminal window open. We'll maximize it using F11. Now if we wish to install software on a system, we need to be effectively the administrator. We'll be called the administrator in Windows. In Linux, it's the root user. So we'll type su switch user, no username following it, and it will switch to the root user. We'll type in the root user's password, which should be nice and strong, and you can see that the prompt has changed from Kevin to root, indicating that I'm now logged in as the root user. I'll type cd to change directory, which will move me back to the root user's home directory /root, and I'll hit Ctrl L to clear the screen. Now just very quickly, I'm just going to run through a few commands related to package management and whether the package is actually installed on the system. I'm going to use the package IPCalc, which is a subnet calculator for this particular example. If I type IPCalc, it doesn't work because it's not installed. If I type IPCalc and I type in an IP address followed by a subnet mask, what we should see is it should break the IP address and subnet mask down into binary. It should give us the broadcast address, the network address, the first usable host, the last usable host, etc. But the program simply isn't installed. How can we check that? Which followed by the name of the program, in this case IPCalc. Which IPCalc would give us the path to the actual executable program, and there is no output because it's not installed. One last check. Actually, there's one more check after this as well we can do. We can say, where is IPCalc? This would give us a lot more information. No information at all. It's basically saying IPCalc, never heard of it. And we can even use one of the Advanced Package Management Tool commands. We can do APT Cache Policy. This is a lovely command. IPCalc. And you'll notice it says installed, none. The latest version is 0.41-4, and where do we get that version from? From the repository fdpukdebian.org. Now, that was the software repository that was specified during the installation, the original installation of the operating system. Okay, let's just quickly do an install. How do we do an install? Well, the very first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you synchronize your package index files with the sources, and we do that by doing apt get update. That program or that command will resynchronize the package index files with their sources. Okay, it doesn't actually pull any software, it just syncs the sources. So now when we pull software, we will actually pull software from the repository that is completely up to date as of literally this minute. When you install Linux software, it's very important that you run that command first. Now obviously, if I'm going to install another piece of software in 10 minutes time, I don't need to run the command again, but if a couple of weeks have passed, or even a few days really, you do want to run apt-get update just to resynchronize those package index files with the sources. Okay, so now we're good. Let's quickly install IPCalc. We can do that by typing apt-get install IPCalc. Go off to the internet, pull the package. It's a tiny little package, there's no dependencies, pulls it very quickly, and then we will run through those commands Yes, it is now installed, and it is the current version, which says it is installed into the user directory inside the bin directory IPCalc. So user bin IPCalc is the path to that executable program. And finally, where is IPCalc? Says IPCalc, the executable program, IPCalc is in the bin folder inside the user folder. So there's the path to the program itself. We've also got another path here, and this is the path to the man page. So we can say man IPCalc. A really nice thing with Linux is when it installs a piece of software, it installs the manual for how to operate that piece of software. You can pretty much 99% of the time type man space and the name of a command, and it will actually give you the manual for it. Okay, so IPCalc, we can put an address in followed by a mask, and we can follow that by another mask. I'll show you exactly how this works actually. Just very quickly, go down a line at a time, enter key, page at a time, spacebar. You can use the U for up, or you can just use the page up, page down. We'll do the same thing. If you wish to quit the manual page, you just hit Q. Right, Q for quit. So how does IPCalc work? Let's just pull back that line. There we go. 192.168.50.0/24. And that's what IPCalc does. Now if you're into computer networking, this is actually quite clever stuff. If you're not into computer networking, it probably doesn't mean very much to you. Okay. Control L. Clear the line. Let's put an antivirus program and a disk cleaner onto the system. So I know the names of the commands. If I didn't know the names of the packages, I could actually use the command APT Cache Search, and it would go off and it would find them. So for instance, if I was after a firewall program, for instance, I could put APT Cache Search Firewall, and it will pull any pieces of software that have got the word firewall either in their name or somewhere in the description of what they do. So we can see there's various pieces of firewall software and utilities. Surewall, there you go. So if I wanted to install a piece of firewall software, Surewall could be that piece of firewall software. Okay. Here we go. apt get install followed by ClamTK, which is the graphical front end for the ClamAV antivirus program, and BleachBit, which is a disk cleaner, removes unnecessary files from the system. If you're not sure what they do, you can actually do this. apt cache search. Now you really want to do these one at a time. ClamTK, graphical front end for ClamAV, and BleachBit deletes unnecessary files from the system. But let's do the installation now. Okay. You can't do an installation with apt cache. You need to use apt get install. ClamTK, the graphical front end for ClamAV, and BleachBit. You can install multiple pieces of software at the same time just by putting them all on the same line with a space in between. I can also do a simulation, so we'll do a simulated install. Okay. So that's going to show us what it's going to install on the system. Okay. The following extra package will be installed because this is a dependency. ClamTK can't work with without ClamAV because ClamTK is the graphical front end for ClamAV. So apt is clever enough to install any packages that are dependencies they're required for the software that you're trying to install to work. If we remove the -s, we'll actually do the installation itself. There we go. Pull in the packages from the internet. They come across in compressed form to save bandwidth on the internet. Uncompresses them, processes them, installs them. Processes triggers for menu, I should say. In other words, it's going to put entries into the menu for these programs. So they are now installed. we really ought to check to see if they are installed. How can we do that? We could use which ClamTK. Yeah, it's definitely installed. Or we could perhaps use the where is command instead. Where is? Let's look for ClamAV, the actual antivirus program itself. ClamAV. It's interesting. ClamAV, Etsy folder, so that's a configuration file. Let's have a look at ClamTK. Yep, there's the program for ClamTK, and there is the manual for it. And of course, we can use APT Cache Policy. So we'll do an APT Cache Policy BleachBit, and you can see it's installed. I think we've pretty much guaranteed that we've installed the package now. We'll do an exit. That's it. And we'll move on to having a look at how you use these packages. So menu entries have been made for them, and yep, there we go. BleachBit as root. Obviously, because BleachBit deletes unnecessary files, if you run it as a normal user, you can only delete files that you have permission to delete. In other words, generally your home directory files in your home directory. Now, if you run BleachBit as the root user, you can delete files right across the system. So that's why we've got the two entries there. We'll have a quick look at ClamAV first. We'll start the ClamAV virus scanner up. Very straightforward. Settings, scan directories recursively. Yes, we can scan files larger than 20 meg, for instance. It's pretty straightforward. A little white list, things you don't want scanned. Scheduler. Set when to scan your home directory, when to update your signatures. It's pretty straightforward. We can scan a directory. Now, to be fair, this is a very clean system. There's almost nothing on it, so I don't think it's going to find any problems, but let's give it a little scan. No threats found. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So that's good. So there is your antivirus program. We've got updates available. I wouldn't actually update it from the graphical user interface. If I was going to update the package ClamAV, if I want to update the signatures for the antivirus program, I would actually do it from the command line. And the way you would do that is you would type fresh clam. There we go. In fact, I really ought to shut the graphical user interface before doing this. So fresh clam. Okay, it's just saying that your ClamAV installation is outdated. We could update to a newer version. Might have to pull a newer version off of their own website, but you can see it's downloading updates now to the package. I'll leave that running in the background because that will take a little while. Okay. Next, what do we want to have a look at? We'll have a little look at BleachBit. We'll do BleachBit as root, so as we can check for unnecessary files right across the system. Because we're running it as root, it will ask us for the root user's password. We can tap that in, and there we go, BleachBit. And you can see what it's going to do. It's going to look inside the apt directory. It's going to auto clean and auto remove any unnecessary software package archives. You can see we've got Firefox on here. It's actually called Iceweasel on Debian, but it's effectively the same thing. Clear the cache, clear the cookies, clear the passwords. I probably wouldn't want to do that one. Clear any broken desktop files, clear the cache, clear the clipboard, or clear the rubbish bin. You can just select what you want it to clear, and it will give you some information on the side. Let's have a little look. Do a preview. We can run a preview, and oh, there you go. So it's going to do an apt get auto clean, auto remove. It's going to remove some things from Evolution, which is the email client. Nothing really much in the clipboard. It's such a clean system. It's still going to recover a little bit of space though. Files to be deleted. That looks quite good. That's working okay. So we'll do a clean. Are you sure you want to permanently delete? Yes. What harm can it do? Okay, and done. There you go. So there's your disk cleaner. Excellent. And the antivirus program is still doing its updates. Okay, what we'll do, we'll just close this one down fairly early. I'll show you how you would remove a piece of software. Obviously we won't remove the antivirus program because it's actually using it at the moment. Here's a nice little trick. You can hit File, Open Terminal, it'll open a fresh terminal, or if you wish you can actually hit Control, Shift and T all at the same time and it'll open a new tab. So now I've got two tabs in the same window. Right, so we'll move into the other tab. I'll become the root user, tap in the root user's password. Hold on a second, there we go. Tap in the root user's password. CD, so I've got a bit more space, do a Control L. What shall I remove? Oh, let's remove IPCalc. Well, here's a nice little thing. If you are into computer networking, check this out. It's rather nice. So I have 192.168.50.0 with a /24 mask. I want to borrow an extra bit for subnetting. By borrowing an extra bit, that should break it down into two subnets. By borrowing an extra bit, we'll have a /25 mask. We're going from /24 to /25. The one extra bit we borrowed will break it down into two networks, each half the size of the original one. And there you go. Subnets after transitioning from /24 to 25. Two subnets. The subnet where the bit we borrowed was set to a 0, and the subnet where the bit we borrowed was set to a 1. We only have 7 bits left for hosts now. 2 to the power of 7 is 128, minus the network and broadcast is 126. Now don't worry, if you're not into computer networking, you probably didn't understand a word of what I've just said, but if you are, you're probably thinking, that's quite a nice little program, that. Okay, we'll remove IPCalc now, and the way we do that, there's two ways actually. You can say apt get remove followed by the name. Now in this case, IPCalc is such a small piece of software, there aren't any dependencies for it or really any configuration files, so we could just use apt get remove. If it's a big piece of software, and there are lots of dependencies and configuration files, if you want to remove the configuration files as well, you can say apt get purge IPCalc. Okay, and that will take out the configuration files as well. Not that there are any for IPCalc, but if it's a big piece of software, there might be. Okay, and now of course we run that command again, it doesn't exist. Okay, let's have a little look back. Oh, it's still downloading signatures and doing updates. Okay, so what did we look at? We had a little look at useful commands, the which command, the where is command, and the APT Cache Policy command. Each one can identify whether a package is on your system. Which will show you the path to the binary, the actual program itself. Where is can show you a lot more information. It can show you the path to the binary, the path to the man page, the path to the configuration files if there are configuration files on the system. We installed an antivirus program. We actually installed ClamAV, but we put the graphical front end on, ClamTK. We installed a disk cleaning software, which was BleachBit. We had a little play with the antivirus program and with the disk cleaning software, and then we showed you how to remove some software. I hope this video has been useful for you, and don't forget to tune in to the channel where I'll be putting some more Linux and network administration videos.